We hear so much about advices towards how to surrender to the universe, how to surrender to God, the creator, your spirit guides, or even just surrender yourself to your life and how life is going. But what about surrendering to yourself? Why can't I surrender to myself? Because that's the most radical and self-freeing and free will thing I can do. So why not do it for myself? In this video, we will be talking about some tips, some tricks, some chit-chats about how to surrender to yourself. And if you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe and support the channel. And let's get into it, y'all. So I'm just going to give a personal definition of what I believe surrendering is. It's a continuous reminder to let yourself be, whether that's who you are at the moment, how your life is at the moment, anything that is external or internal, letting it be for what it is. And knowing that when the time is right, when the moment is right, when you are who you are meant to be, it will change. But not forcing it, not controlling it, and not pushing it. Allowing it to flow. I think surrendering is the act of flowing. And how I started to surrender to myself, or how that even looked, is the process of trusting oneself. And man, it's been a journey, and it's still a journey of trusting myself. I realized a lot of my experiences within my life was almost like a reminder of how I should not trust myself. And it was really doing a lot of self-damage to my self-growth, to who I was, my healing work, everything. Because trusting is the foundation to healing, self-discovery, whatever it is for your highest good. The foundation is trust. And after that is believing. But if you don't trust what you believe, how can you believe what you trust? But when I first started doing it, I believe it was, at the time, it was an act of helping oneself. So how I was surrendering was going to therapy, doing better for myself, choosing better, eating better. I was just choosing a better life. And that's how I was seeing surrendering to myself, to my higher self. And then the more I got into healing work, the surrendering started to transition into an aspect of I needed to surrender myself in the way of how my healing journey is going to look, how my life is going to look. Understanding that surrendering is understanding that your path is so uniquely yours that trying to get external validation from other people's lives will only keep you in the loophole. I believe that people are tools to bring you closer to yourself, but you have to be self-aware enough to know the difference, and to know that the difference between getting help and allowing somebody to just take over. Just a quick story time on how surrendering shifted for me in therapy was I was being more honest with myself and being more honest with my therapist and not sugarcoating. I also feel like when you're not surrendering, it could show up as a lot of sugarcoating, a lot of not lying, but just making the story not for what it is. It's kind of like you're playing with the story where you're like, yeah, that did happen, but that is just telling little white lies in order to make it better than what it actually is. I found myself doing that because it was a form of control. But the less I started acting on those habits, the more I was surrendering to myself, which led me to surrender to the process of knowing myself and the process of discovering myself. And then even now, how it shows up for me is just honestly surrendering to the truth of myself, the truth that I am always forever changing, the truth that I am not perfect, that I don't need to be perfect, that the perfect thing about me is that I'm not perfect. And also surrendering to the idea that I am not just this, that I am an infinite being, and that I'm always in that loop of changing, developing. And I feel like that's where I'm at in my journey, where I'm surrendering to that, which is part of me. But yeah, that's how it's transition now in my life. Is just like surrendering is showing up differently than how I was before. Surrendering is pushing all these expectations and beliefs that are not for my highest good out of myself, out of my mind, out of my being. Also, surrendering looked like me not ignoring my intuition anymore, not ignoring my spiritual gifts, my abilities, who I was beyond this flesh. It looked like me actually listening to the inner voice that was trying to help me all along. It looks like listening to the creator and to my spirit guides that are helping me. It looked like trusting the little signs that you see that you low-key ignore because it's like, whoa, what was that? But it's opening myself up back to the mystical side of myself. And also just letting go of the fight. Letting go of it, letting go of the fight. And that fight could look like overthinking, self-criticism, comparison. It could just look like a very destructive way of trying to free yourself, but not. It's like you're freeing yourself from others, but not yourself. And with surrendering, it allows me to make mistakes. It allows me to not be perfect. It allows me to really understand that I can embrace my emotions. I can trust timing, that truly anything is possible. And also honoring your soul's rhythm. And that could be like resting when you're tired. Putting boundaries up with yourself where it's like, hey, I just did a 10-hour shift of healing work. Okay? 10 hours with no breaks. And you want me to go out and work and make money? Cut it out. When I say rest, I mean it. You know, I had to put my foot down. I was like, cut the crap out. And it felt good. Weirdly enough, it felt good to tell myself no. Also, just allowing myself to move when I'm inspired, to do when I'm inspired, to be when I'm inspired. Also speaking when called. For example, me making YouTube videos. And I always said this before in my previous videos, I only make videos like this when spirit wants me to talk. And that's a way of following my soul's rhythm. I'm not going to force myself to do anything that's not going to be beneficial for myself or for anyone else. Also just doing a lot of spiritual and self-care. They're different, but they're not so different, you know, making sure the external is taken care of so then I can focus on the internal self-care. And then just to end this video off on a good note, here's just some tools to help you guys. The first thing I want to say though is trust yourself enough to let go. Trust yourself enough to surrender. The next thing is these 2 journal prompts. The first one is, where am I fighting myself still in my life? And the second one is what part of myself is asking to be trusted right now? And yeah, just surrender to yourself. That doesn't mean you'll never struggle again or you'll never have those hiccups or confusions, but it means that you stop struggling against yourself. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and support the channel. And yeah, thank you for sitting with me. Love and peace, y'all.